All right, well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on today's special presentation where we're going to be unpacking the seven-figure agency roadmap and really a clear plan on how to build $1 million digital marketing agency. I know that for some of us that may be a tall claim. It's like, man, $1 million agency. Some of you, maybe have been running your business for years and years. I know I've had this conversation with some people. They've been at it for a decade and they're not at seven figures. And maybe some of you, that's not an aspiration, but I can tell you from personal experience, you can build a digital marketing agency in like as little as 12 to 24 months. We've done it. I've seen others that have followed this model do it. And so what I'm going to share with you today is not based on hypothesis. It's not based on pie in the sky. There's a model, there's a roadmap that can be followed to kind of expedite this process and to really get the growth and the success that you want within your digital marketing agency. So my promise to you, here's the deal. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to share my real experience. I'm going to share what's worked for me and others. And I'm going to share a plan that, if followed, will help to accelerate your agency to $1 million in annualized revenue over the next 12 to 24 months. How does that sound? Want to see in the comments here. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something if that sounds great, if that's what you're here for, just so I can kind of confirm we're in the right place. Jeannie Lewis says, yeah, awesome, good. That's what we're here for. Carla says, great. Awesome. If my webcam turns off, let me know. So before we dive in, I do want to learn a little bit about you. This is a live session, so I want to have a little bit of interaction. I want to kind of get to know you guys a little bit. So just tell me how long you guys have been running your agency. So, we've been at it going on 7 years now. Actually, this will be our 8th year. Some of you maybe are just getting started. Some of you maybe have been at it longer than us. Just in comments here, let me know how long you guys have been running your agency. Will help me get to know you a little bit better. Help me make sure I've got this whole thing dialed in and kind of consistent for you. All right, so Corey's 2 months. Brendan, 1.5 years. Full-time, but 4 years total. Jeannie, digital marketing pro, not really running an agency. Have a few clients and talent looking to grow. Awesome. Again, I want to make this interactive. This is not one of those sessions where I'm just going to talk for an hour and 20 minutes straight. I do want to check in with you guys, and when I ask you guys to comment, please indulge with me. You'll get as much out of this as you put in. So in the comments, real quick, just give me something in terms of how long you've been running your businesses. The other thing I want to know is kind of, on average, how much are you charging for your services? What are you charging on a typical monthly basis for what you do? Whether it's package based, maybe it's project based. Give me an idea how you charge. I can tell you when I started my first web and digital marketing agency, I was charging $1,000 to do a website and then $50 a month, and it was a struggle, right? Nowadays we charge more like $2,500 per month for a more package type solution. And we get that on a monthly basis. All right, so Brandon is saying $250 a month for managed, up to $4,500 for custom work. Jeannie says one closed client, life insurance is $3,000 startup, $2,000 per month. Okay, so we got a little bit of a gamut from low end, medium end, high end. I can't see the comments in Facebook. In the Facebook group, so if you're commenting there, I apologize. Please join us in the Zoom session. That way I can interact with you. Carlos is just getting started, transitioning from video and agency type work to doing agency work. Okay, awesome. That kind of gives me an idea like where you guys are at, and then like how many clients are you guys serving at this point? Are you guys just getting started, less than 10 clients? I consider scaling when you've got 10 to 50 clients in that territory, and then on my way to 7 figures, 50 plus. Again, at this point, we've got about 170 or so clients on monthly retainers, so we're definitely 7 figures plus. I know Jimmy here, Jimmy Nicholas, over 70 clients, about $3 million per year. Jeannie says, been doing some PPC, just getting started. Corey, just getting started. Carlos, just getting started. Awesome. All right, so we got a mix. We got some veterans. We got some people just getting started. This program, this training is going to be good for you regardless of where you're at in your evolution in your agency. So really, what I want you to think about just for a minute, I want you to get clear on the gap, right? Wherever you're at today, whether it's first $10,000 a month in recurring, $50,000 a month in recurring, all the way up to seven figures. Where do you want to be? Like, it sounds like a lot of you want to run seven-figure agencies, which means you're doing $80,000, $90,000 per month in recurring revenue. What I want to do in this session is get you really clear on the gap, the difference between where you're at and where you want to go, because the gap tax, not knowing what you need to know in that in-between area, is costing you. It's costing you in terms of the amount of money you make. It's costing you in terms of the financial freedom that you have. It's costing you in terms of the things that you want to be able to do in your life that you can't. And so that's why we do these sessions. That's what this is about. It's to help you get clear on the gap so that you can start to do the things you need to do, to take the activities, to make the calls, to do the work that's going to move your digital marketing agency forward. So really that's what this session is all about. So as it relates to running digital marketing agencies and looking to scale your digital marketing agency, there are challenges, there are issues, there's problems. One of the biggest issues is it's hard to get your prospects' attention, right? We all want to sell internet marketing services to prospects and clients, and they've got a lot of things competing for their attention. They've got major corporations. You've got people like Scorpion and Reach Local and Yodel with massive budgets going after your ideal prospects. And then pretty much anybody that's got a laptop and a phone can basically say, hey, I do internet marketing services. I'll help generate leads for you. I'll help generate calls. And so your prospects, the people you want to serve, are being inundated, like getting calls on a daily basis. People are dropping in at their office. So it's really hard to get prospects' attention to even get the opportunity to sell your services, which makes it hard to land clients on a consistent basis. And one thing I can tell you is if you're not landing clients on a consistent basis, you don't have the revenue that you need. You don't have the income that you need in order to generate the income to live your desired lifestyle. And then once you do get clients, so you do the work, you get their attention, you get a couple people to give you some money, it can be really hard to get your clients results and to retain them. How many of you guys can kind of relate to this? You do all of this energy, you do all this work to get the client, but because there's so much competition in the marketplace, and there's so many different things you could do from SEO and pay-per-click and social media and video advertising and funnels, that even when you try to serve the client, sometimes they don't get a great return on investment, and they're frustrated, and you're frustrated. And if you can't solve for that, it can feel like you're taking one step forward and one step back. You land a client, yay, but then that client cancels, and so it's like back to the drawing board. You land like 2 or 3 clients and you lose one, and so you can't really get the momentum that you want. And when this happens, ultimately, you can't succeed, right? If you can't land clients on a consistent basis, you can't retain them for the long term, you can't get them great results, your business will not succeed, right? Unfortunately, you're going to wind up having to shut it down. Hopefully you won't have to file bankruptcy and or what we all fear the most, have to go out and get a regular job. And that was kind of my experience. My story is, yes, I'm running this training. Yes, I run a 7-figure agency now. But the reality is my first agency back in 2004 was a complete failure. I started it as Developcom. It was a web design and hosting company. I started it. I went out. I started landing clients or trying to land clients. Borrowed $10,000 from my dad, who was a missionary. It was a mess, and I never, in the 3 years I ran that business, never generated enough revenue to even pay myself. Like, I would work 40 to 60 hours a week, cold calling, sitting in network meetings, chasing prospects down, building websites, because I would sell like 4 or 5 websites a month. But I would take all of that money, that $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000 that comes in, and I would spend it on things, not myself, but things to run the business. I would spend it on marketing tools. I would spend it on outsourced providers to help get the work done. And this was my experience. It was extremely painful. It was extremely frustrating. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but I just had the wrong business model, and it was really not scalable. It didn't work, and it was one of the toughest situations I ever had to encounter when I had to go to my dad, who's a missionary, who lent me that $10,000, and tell him, look, this thing failed. I'm not going to be able to pay you back, right? And I had to do what all of us like really dread the most, which is go out and get a job, right? I had to apply for jobs. I had to sit in interviews, and I was fortunate to go back into corporate America for a little bit and get paid a salary and to learn some things. And so during that period while I was back in the regular job, I was always a student of the game. So I studied, I studied Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I studied T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Post in comments if you're familiar with some of these guys. And they all of these books were telling me you need to build a business, you need to develop your own wealth, you need to invest in assets. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's really what I need to do, and that's what I wanted to do. I knew deep down I really wanted to run a business, and I wanted to run a business that served other companies and helped them generate leads and generate sales. And there was something in one of the books that I read by T. Harv Eker, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. He talked about, to start your business, you don't have to necessarily work in the business. You can find a place that's already succeeding before you go and start that company. So you can figure out, like, what does the right business model look like and how do things work correctly? And so with that, what I did was I went out and I got a job at Reach Local, one of the largest pay-per-click management companies in the country. They're still doing well in terms of revenue. I think they do like $500 million per year in income. But I worked there for a couple years, and I learned a tremendous amount. Like, I learned how to sell these services. I got confidence that people would actually pay, local business would actually pay, $1,000 to $5,000 per month for this kind of stuff. And I learned. I learned kind of what the right business model is. I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. But when I went to my wife after a couple years at Reach Local, I was making a pretty good income. I was doing pretty well. And I said, hey, I'm ready to go back and start my own company. I think I can do it on my own. She was extremely resistant. She was like, come on, you've got a steady income. This didn't work for you in the past. It's probably not going to work again. You're probably not the right person to run this kind of thing. Like, this was our mentality. Like, it was a very concerning thing to go out on our own after we'd already failed. Like, our confidence level had dropped significantly. But armed with my knowledge of how to kind of do some basic internet marketing work, my experience working at Reach Local and seeing how to sell and seeing what the other sales reps were doing, I really felt confident it was going to be different this time, because I had changed my belief, I had changed my business model, and I had changed my concept of attracting clients. And it worked out, right? So we started our new agency as it sits today back in 2011. I started with my business partner, Dean Iadisi, and we grew it. Over the period of a couple years, 2 years, we grew to 7 figures. And if we fast forward today, right now we're doing about $370,000 per month in recurring revenue, about $4 million per year. We made the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing digital marketing agencies, actually the fastest growing companies the last 3 years in a row. And so it worked, right? It worked out well. And I share that story to tell you that was where I was at, right? I had 2 businesses. I had one that failed, and it was a painful experience, and I know what that's like. And I was doing everything I thought I should do, from cold calling, sitting in network meetings, doing direct mail, trying to put out blog posts and website updates, and just not making any money, to finally getting the right business model and seeing my business grow at an accelerated pace. And that's really what I want to share with you guys. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this. I really believe, everybody goes through a cycle called learn, do, teach, right? Learn. You learn, like, okay, what works, what doesn't. Then you do it on your own, kind of prove it out. And then eventually, to really internalize it and go to the next level, you start to teach it. You start to share it with others. And I really enjoy sharing this stuff. There were a lot of people that helped me along the way as I was trying to build my digital marketing agency to help me figure out how to get the business model right. And so that's why I'm excited to share this with you guys. So I've got a couple visuals. This is my team, 30 full-time employees. We have a real office. I'm sitting at our office in in Miami, Florida right now. So we got a real team, bricks and mortars. It's a mostly millennial staff. So if you come down here, you're going to see lots of green colors, lots of cutouts like superheroes and things like that. We try to make it a fun, vibrant office. And this is a business picture of my business partner Dean and I at the Inc. 5000 Gala. I guess it was like 3 years ago now in San Antonio. And it was just a moment of celebration, right? It was like, okay, what we've done has worked. We're continuing to grow. We're continuing to scale. Carlos says he's also in Miami. Awesome. So that's the struggle. We talked about like the challenges in running our digital marketing agency, because we don't have a right plan, because there's sales resistance. If we can get our business model right, if we can figure out how to charge correctly, how to package our services the right way, how to sell and get clients to come to us, what happens is we can land clients on a consistent basis, not randomly like a client here, a client there, but really get clients, almost every single month on a pretty consistent basis. We can knock it out of the park for our clients, like actually get them great results where they're like, man, I spent some money with you and I got this great return on investment. What a good business move I made. And when we do that, the clients stay with us long term. And when they're staying with us long term, that's when it feels good. That's when the revenue grows, because we're actually doing what we're intended to do, which is to serve our clients and get them great results. And we start to get some consistent momentum and consistent growth within our business. And so that's really what success in a digital marketing agency looks like. It really, my idea is when we get this right and when you implement what I'm going to share with you on today's session, you're going to be able to build a successful agency that serves your desired lifestyle. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because it's different for everybody, and it's obviously different for me than it is for you. I find that digital marketing agencies are kind of in a continuum of growth, and there's really like 5 key stages. The first is startup, right? Startup is, I don't have any clients, I don't have any revenue yet, but I'm super pumped up. I'm going out, I'm going to start to land some clients, I'm going to start to serve some clients, and it's a very exciting time in our digital marketing agencies. It's exciting, but there's also some challenges in startup. There's no money, right? So there's stress there, and really there's no time, right? Because everything is up to you, from landing the client to serving the client and everything in between. And so you want to get out of startup in your digital marketing agency as quickly as possible. The next is struggle. And to me, struggle is when you're making less than $10,000 per month. So you've got maybe 2 or 3 clients, maybe 5 clients, maybe 10 clients, depending upon what you charge. And you're struggling because at that point, there's not enough money to pay yourself and pay subcontractors and market yourself. And there's no team, so everything is on you. Still, everything is on you, from talking to the customers, to sitting in the networking events, to coming up with marketing strategy, to setting up the websites and doing the SEO. And of course, struggle is no fun either. We all want to get out of struggle. The next phase to me is scale. And that's a much funner place. It's where you're at between $15,000 and $50,000 per month in recurring. So everything I see here is in recurring. You know that it's happening every single month. You've got that amount of money coming in. And I feel like something magic happens when you make the transition from struggle to scale. Because once you've got, let's just call it $15,000 to $50,000 per month coming in, you have enough money then to pay yourself and cover your base living needs, which is a wonderful feeling if you've been in struggle or startup for any period of time. But you also start to have additional financial resources to invest in marketing, invest in team, invest in systems, so that you can remove yourself from being a slave to the business and start to have the business work for you, where there's people and processes that move things along in your digital marketing agency. The next kind of phase most agencies are at is success. So that's $50,000 plus in recurring revenue. It's an exciting place, but where I find there's lots of challenges that happen in this success stage in most digital marketing agencies, because they still are very ingrained in most cases in the business, right? They've learned how to sell, they've learned how to serve, they've learned how to retain, and hopefully some of you guys sit in this category, but they haven't necessarily learned how to delegate. They haven't necessarily learned how to let the team handle it, let the team handle whatever piece that they're not great at. And usually that's the fulfillment of the service, the customer relationship side of the equation. And then the ultimate destination to me, and the reason I call this business seven-figure agency, is significance. And that's where your business is at a place where it's doing $83,000 per month or more. That's 7 figures per year if you multiply it by 12. So it's $1 million a year. And what I found is when my business got to significance, after that second year, my entire life changed. I grew up I told you guys, I grew up in a missionary family. There was never financial abundance in my household. There was abundance. Don't get me wrong. There was abundance. There was love. There was joy. There was significance. But there was never financial abundance. So the financial resources to go on family trips, the financial resources to buy nice high-end things, the financial abundance to really give back to others. And so as I got to 7 figures, I had the money to do the things I wanted to do, to live the desired lifestyle, which is why I started my business, and really to have meaning, because I was able to to serve my clients and know they were getting good results. I was able to build a team and kind of give them career tracks. And I was able to have the time freedom, and that's the biggest piece, because I started to be able to pay people and put systems in place to really do the things I like to do, to spend time with my family, to go on cruises a couple times a quarter, and really enjoy my life. And so I'm really passionate about helping digital marketing agencies get to that significant level, to that 7-figure level, because I've seen what a difference it can make in your life. And so, this is just a picture of me with my 2 boys, Brandon and Ryan. Brandon's 5, Ryan's 2, and my beautiful wife, Yesenia. For me, that's why I started this business. That's why I do what I do, so I can serve my family, and we can do the fun things, and we can take the trips. And really, that's what I want for you. I don't want any of you guys to be in a place where you're working 40 to 60 hours per week. You don't have any time to take vacations or have free time. You don't have enough money to take trips and to do what you want. If you do this right and you get the right model, it can really change everything in your life. And that's really what I'm excited about. And so, that was my journey. Our business is doing, it's probably going to do $5 million this year. It's continuing to grow. I really love our agency. I love the clients that we serve. But I also have a passion for helping agencies just like you, people that are looking to grow and looking to scale. And that's why I built the 7-figure agency training program, coaching program. I've had the opportunity to work with several hundred digital marketing agencies at this point, and seen a lot of them go from struggle, that area where either they're just starting up or they're really struggling, to significance. And actually at our last intensive, we meet quarterly, and we get together at a place near our office now, and we kind of celebrate people as they move up the rungs. And I was super excited to see 13 digital marketing agencies go to significance, where they're earning $1 million per year in their business. And nothing gives me more pleasure and satisfaction to see that and to celebrate with guys like Alan Hillsberg and Jeff Fisher and Jimmy Nicholas and Danny Barrera and Jamie Randall. And I'll tell some of their stories as we go, so you have some context to this. But that's my passion. And I'm right now, I'm on a mission to help 100 digital marketing agencies scale to 7 figures over the next 5 years. And again, because I've seen the difference that it made in my life. I've seen the difference that it made in Alan's life, Alan Hillsberg, who I was just talking with a couple minutes ago. Brian Stearman's life, where these guys went from very limited financial options to now them living in their dream homes, driving the dream cars, being able to support their family and their local community at a much higher level. So I'd like to hear from you guys. I've been talking now for like 20 minutes. Why is growing an agency, your agency, aggressively important to you? And I want to hear from you in comments. Let me know. Again, the why. The clearer you are on why you want this, the better. Because there's going to be hard work involved. There's going to be days where things don't go right. There's going to be days where the client isn't happy and winds up canceling. And it's your clarity on your why and your vision that's going to make you continue going, make you continue to take the next step and continue to move yourself forward. Awesome. So you guys are engaging. Thank you very much. So it's been my passion my whole life, Jeannie says. It's my dream. Financial stability, right? Yeah, and that's the first piece, right? Get the financial stability taken care of so that you can go to the next level. Awesome. Love to grow businesses for people. Beautiful. So, for yourself, make sure you've got clarity on this why. Okay, so now we can get down to brass tacks. I've developed a workbook to go along with today's session. You can access it by going to sevenfigureagency.com/workbook. It redirects you to the PDF. You can download it. It will help you kind of guide along with today's session. So if somebody could post that into the comment box, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll have to pop out for a minute here. Let me just share this with you guys. I want to give you guys a minute to access this file. So hold on. All right, so I'm going to put it over here in chat. I'm also going to put it in the Facebook group. Got to acknowledge some of you guys over in the Facebook group. Awesome. Let me pull this up. All right, so now you guys all have access to this workbook. This will help you get the most out of today's session. And let's dive into it. So if I had one theme for today's session, it would be accelerate. What I want to do is help you accelerate the growth of your digital marketing agency. Take something that might take 5 to 7 years of trial, error, frustration, just because you got the wrong business model, the wrong marketing strategy, the wrong pricing, whatever. Give you the missing elements so that you can accelerate and really shortcut that, so you can start to experience the benefits and the freedom much earlier in your life. And so, to me, if there's anything I really want for you guys, it's a business that can scale, right? And so I'm going to draw out for you, I'm going to share with you guys the 7-figure model that's really worked exceptionally well for us. So I want a business that can scale, that will provide money. So, the first thing that a business needs to do is provide income. It needs to provide the ability to pay the bills, to do the things you want to do. Provide freedom, like we talked about, the ability not just to work hard, but also to be able to do what you want to do, right? For me, that's this, right? I mean, I have an agency and it's paying the bills and it earns, but part of my passion is to serve others and to share what I've learned. So to have the freedom to do whatever it is that you enjoy doing, and impact. And so that's, if we look at the hierarchy of desires, we want to have an impact. We want to do something that has a meaning. And so I want a business for you that will provide the money, the freedom, and the impact. The impact meaning you're serving clients and getting them great results. You're building a team and pouring into them and helping them develop career tracks. And so in order to do that, you really have to be great at 3 areas in your digital marketing agency. Landing clients. You have to have a system and a process to land clients and get clients to hire your services. Deliver results. So you have to be able to knock it out of your park and get your clients great results. And you have to retain long-term. You have to have processes and systems so that when you do get a client, they're like, okay, this is great. I'm getting good results. I like the person that I'm working with, the company that I'm working with, and they continue to stay long-term. When you've got those 3 things honed in your business, you can really scale pretty quickly. So as it relates to landing clients, first of all, you need to figure out a way to fill your funnel, right? To get prospects that know, like, and trust you, right? You have to build authority, position yourself as the expert, because people will come to you and pay premium rates to work with the expert in their type of business. And you have to have sales mastery. You have to really know how to talk with a potential prospect, help understand what their issues, challenges are, and show them why you're the best solution, why they should hire you and trust you with their hard-earned dollars to generate sales, generate leads, and grow their digital marketing agency. You get those 3 projects dialed in, a full funnel, great authority, and a great sales process, you'll land clients, and that will produce all of the money that you need on the front end. The next piece is you have to deliver results, right? And I think that the internet marketing space is a little bit devoid in this area, right? Everybody talks about how to get clients, how to do marketing, but there's very little information about how do we serve the clients? How do we get them great results? How do we get them a tangible, measurable return on investment? And so as it relates to this, first of all, you got to choose your model and make sure that you've got the right business model. Because if your business model's broken, like mine was, you can give it 110%. You can be pretty good at what you do, but if you're working on a broken business model, nothing else will work, right? So we're going to, you have to have a good business model, and then you have to package and systematize. Again, if we want to deliver results that scale, So that means that we can not only just get clients, serve them, but actually be able to get more and more clients without bottlenecking. You have to package and systematize. You've got to have, first of all, a package that will get results for the client, but also that can be systematized so that you can do it once really well, get it dialed in, and then do something very similar on a consistent basis. And then you've got to develop your team, right? You cannot do it all yourself. Eventually you're going to get to a place, maybe it's at 40, maybe it's at 50, maybe it's at 70 clients, where you just don't want to do it all yourself. You shouldn't do it all yourself. And so you've got to develop a team. You've got to put people around you that are good at the various areas in your company that you're not good at. And that's what gives you the freedom, right? Because you've got a business delivery system that makes sense. You can sell it without doing it yourself. Have a team that helps in every area of the company, from marketing, sales, to get the clients, to fulfillment and client relationship management. That gives you freedom so that you're not tethered to the business. You can go away on vacation. You can do webinars about things unrelated to your digital marketing agency. And you have to retain long-term, right? You have to be strategic about what you do to keep a client with you month after month. And what I found, the three key projects in that area are strong kickoff. Like, you have to have engineered, when you get a client, what's the experience? What do they get in the mail? What is their intake process? You have to really dial that in. You have to develop your communication rhythm. So yes, you can dial in the beginning, but why are they staying with you month after month after month? You have to have a great communication rhythm. What do you do on your monthly review calls? You have a monthly review call of some sort, right? What kind of information do you give to them in the reporting, right? What does that rhythm look like so that they feel the relationship? You know, the number one reason a client will leave is perceived indifference. Like, literally, they feel like you don't care that much. And then the third thing from a retention perspective is to seed the vision. What I found in our agency, the main reason clients left was because they didn't feel like we were going to be able to help do what the next thing was. They didn't see what was coming up next on the horizon. And there's so much competition and so many people, vying for their attention, that you always have to be seeding the vision. Okay, hey, this is what we did this month. These are the results. How is that customer? How's it working for you? Great. Here's what we're going to focus on next. Here's what we're going to be doing the next 30, 60, 90 days. And when you do that well, you'll be able to retain the clients at a much higher level. And so this is really the seven-figure agency model, right? You have to have these three projects with the three sub-projects. You've got this dialed in, and you can really do exceptional things in your digital marketing agency. So I want to hear from you guys in all of these, landing clients, retaining, and delivering results. What's the biggest challenge? What's the biggest gap for you right now in this particular area? What do you need to focus on the most? I'll look at the Facebook group, see if there's anything going on over here. So Paul says landing clients, filling the funnel, says Tyler. Anybody over here? Hey, Yesenia logged in. Tim Kilroy logged in. What's up, guys? Glad to have you with me in the Facebook group. What else? Come on, guys. Let's keep this interactive. So filling the funnel, landing the clients. So getting the right business model, I talked about a lot, making sure we get the right business model, okay? All right, so here's what I'm going to suggest. We've got a finite amount of time here. Carlos says not knowing enough about digital marketing to get results. Gene says wanting to decide on a target and not decide on, so that's model-based. We can't cover all of this, right? I mean, this is what seven-figure agency does. Like, we unpack all of this stuff in depth and give you like swipe and deploys, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the future, towards the end of this session. But I think what we can focus on right now is choose the model. Let's make sure we get the right business model, because everything else could be great, but if you don't have the right business model, the right packaging, the right services, nothing will work. So we'll focus on that. Filling the funnel, Tyler mentioned that, making sure we got new prospects that kind of know us, that are interested in us, and then building authority. Because for me, that was the biggest thing. If there was one single thing that helped to accelerate us to seven figures, it was building us as the authority within our niche and getting clients to come to us instead of us chasing them down. Does that sound good if we focus on these three things throughout today's session? Robert says, yes. Give me like a thumbs up. Give me, absolutely. Give me something in the comments just so we can make sure this is going to be a good use of you guys' time. All right, Tyler's giving me a thumbs up. Jeannie's gave me an indeed. All right, perfect. So we're going to start with model, right? We want to make sure we've got the right business model. And I believe that our business model is what served us and it's helped us grow and helped us scale. So when it comes to accelerating your digital marketing agency, you really need to simplify, right? If you want to grow quick, you want a model that's going to serve you well, you should focus on the rule of ones. Now, I got this from Taki Moore, Millionaire Coach, who got it from Clay Collins, the owner of Lead Pages. And Clay Collins was just studying, like, what is it the fastest growing companies do? The ones that grow to multiple $1 million in short periods of time. And what he found was they were focused on the rule of ones. And I'll just kind of unpack this for you. To the extent that you deviate from this, you wind up multiplying the complexity in your business, which ultimately multiplies the amount of time it takes for you to get to where you really want to be. So one target market, one niche, right? Here at Plumbing and HVAC, here at my agency, we are plumbing and HVAC SEO. Like, this is what we do. We serve plumbing and HVAC companies. When we started our internet marketing agency, we focused on everybody. We were focused on roofers, AC contractors, restaurants, and when we decided, okay, we're going to focus on one particular niche, plumbing and HVAC contractors, it brought everything into order. It made it so we could market better. It made it so that we could position ourselves as the expert. It made it so we could get really good at serving the clients we wanted to serve, and that really accelerated everything we did. So focus on one particular niche. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the top niches and the ones you should be focused on. The next is to have one focused lead generation strategy. With all of the things you can do to get clients, we're going to unpack this in depth. You want to be really good at one. Whether it's cold outreach, whether it's network marketing, whether it's Facebook advertising, whether it's pay-per-click advertising, one really good lead generation system. Build that up, get it working, get some consistent flow with it, and then you can look at others, right? I find that the agencies we work with, the ones that have had the quickest growth, and we talked about Jimmy Nicholas, he focuses on orthodontics. He's grown to $3 million per year in recurring revenue. His main strategy is joint venture partners, right? Alan Hillsberg, who focuses on funeral homes, his main play was cold direct outreach, getting in front of these funerals, dropping at their office, calling in, getting their attention, right? And so what I want you to do is focus on one niche, get one lead generation system really well dialed in within your agency. Figure out one conversion mechanism, not a dozen conversion mechanisms, but one that really you know is going to work well. So conversion mechanism is webinar selling, selling a course, or doing one-on-one sales strategy sessions over the phone. You want to have one conversion mechanism within your business that is solid. And this one you guys are going to have the biggest problem with, and that's one program. So that's one core service offering that you sell people into. Not custom ad hoc projects, which all of us in web think is the way to go. Not a dozen custom proposals. Oh, we can do website and SEO and social media, but one program, one cohesive program that's made for that particular niche, that is proven to work, that has case studies and stuff behind it. One program with a couple different variations. And then continue to focus on it for an entire year. And I chuckle because a lot of people, they say, yeah, okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do one niche and I'm going to focus on one niche. I'm going to do it, right? But then a new course comes out, a new program. They read a new book. They hear something new about some new shiny object, and they go down a rabbit hole. Really, in order to make this work, you got to remain laser focused on it for the better part of a year and beyond. So those are the rule of ones. If you have any ahas on this particular thing, or if there's anything that like stands out to you, post it in comments. I see Jeannie said, what's a joint venture? So a joint venture, I'm going to talk about this when we talk about landing clients, is finding somebody that's already selling to the prospects or already has relationships with the prospects you want to sell, and joint venturing with them in that they will introduce you to their prospects and you will sell them your service. And in some cases, it's just because goodwill both ways. In some cases, because they get a percentage of the revenue. So that's what a joint venture is. Robert says, shiny object. Yeah, absolutely. And we all have it, right? Whether it's Warrior Forum or just because we're on so many email lists, we hear about some new thing and we go off track. I can promise you, if you could focus on the rule of ones here, it will have a huge impact on your business. The next thing as it relates to business model is to work the money math. To just work the money math with me. If we want to get to 7 figures, and that's what this is about, building $1 million digital marketing agency in the course of 1 to 2 years, 12 to 24 months, there's a couple ways to do it, right? The fact is, $1 million business does $83,000 per month in recurring revenue. You take $83,000 and you multiply it by 12, and that's $1 million per year. So there's a couple ways you could arrive at this place. You could do one client at $83,000 per month. That's $1 million business. You could do 8 to 9 clients at $10,000 per month. You could do 83 clients at $1,000 per month. You could do 166 at $500 per month. You could do 830 at $100 per month. And I pull this up just to kind of draw the correlation for you. A lot of people, for some reason, they gravitate towards lower price points. $500 a month, $250 a month. And the reality is, it takes almost as much effort, if not more effort, to sell a $500 a month client as it does to sell a $1,500 a month client. And it's going to take you a long time if you're selling $500 to $600 to $750 a month programs, as opposed to selling at a much higher price point. What I found is the sweet spot somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 per month. If you can land 41 clients a month at 41 clients at $2,000 per month, you're a 7-figure digital marketing agency. So it's really important that you understand this money math and that you're not selling at too low of a price point, because that will really kill your momentum. Really, the bottom line is if you can land 5 new clients per month at $1,350 per month, then you can build a 7-figure agency in just 12 months. Right? That's the reality of the situation. So Taylor says, it's hard for me to think about choosing one niche. I've always served multiple industries, but I definitely understand the difficulty that's creating. There's no question. I could talk a long time about this, but if you're in one particular niche, you learn the process, you build the systems, you can put marketing strategies in place to get clients coming to you. Every time you take somebody in a different industry, first of all, you got to convince them that you're going to learn their space. Second of all, you have to figure it out. What are the key words? What are the hot buttons? What are the authority sites? How do we develop the content? And your whole business system has to be custom built. And as the owner of the company, that business system is you, right? You're the one that has to come up with how things are going to get done. Where, like in our case, we serve plumbing and HVAC contractors. We did a couple of them now, obviously, but our first couple we learned, all right, what are the key words? How should the website be written? What are the images that make sense? What directory should we add them to? What keywords work best for pay-per-click, right? We built that. And then we were able to build a system. Okay, so when we get a client, we're going to do this with the website. These are the keywords. This is who's going to do it. And when you have systems like that, you can put someone else in charge of it. Where if you're doing it custom for every client, that's you. And there's no freedom in that. There's no scalability in it. That's on the operation side. From a sales and marketing side, so much more the case, right? When you're in one niche, you can join the association. You can go out and you can position yourself as the expert. You can put out content for that particular industry, which makes you magnetically attractive and pulls clients into you on a very consistent basis. And so I'm glad you brought that up, and hopefully I've made this point clear. So just a couple business model things, because right now we're on this whole topic of business model. First of all, one targeted niche. I promise you, if you do this, it might take a little bit of discipline, but you can shortcut your growth cycle exponentially. Focus on monthly recurring revenue at least $1,000 per month. It's the only way to do it. Like, there was a long time I ran a project-based business. I told you this. I would build a website for $1,000, maybe $2,500 one time. So when you're selling project work, even if it's large ticket, I've got guys that I've dealt with that are selling $50,000 websites. When you're selling project work, you get a payment, either a deposit or a full payment. The money comes in and then it goes away. And there's no consistency, there's no recurrence to it. Now, if you're selling monthly recurring fees, every single client that you get should, assuming you do a good job, should stay with you. And they continue to pay you month after month. And that monthly income grows every single month. The only thing we sell in our marketing agency is recurring. The members that we deal with that are getting the best results, that are making the most money, that are seeing the most success and significance are selling monthly recurring. So I want to really encourage you, no one-off projects, no partial check payments, and really no check payment period. When I say recurring, that doesn't mean you go and ask for a check every month. It's like automatic charge to their credit card and a check sent in the mail. Like that's the model that works best. And again, minimum needs to be at least $1,000 per month. This is the base fundamental how to set up your business model. I'm going to share a story with you. One of the guys I've had the pleasure of working with, his name is Alan Hillsberg. He runs a company called Funeral Marketing Services. And when I first came in contact with Alan about 4 years ago, I had done a joint venture promotion with Mike Cooch. And I did a webinar kind of unpacking our business model. It's about, I guess, like 4 or 5 years ago now. And I explained our model, right? We're one niche. We're monthly recurring revenue. And Alan latched on to that. He's like, okay, so I'm selling my business. He was doing like $10,000 a month in project work, low-end SEO, like $150, $200 a month, serving anybody he could get his hands on. And if you talk to Alan about this, where he was at in his life, it was no consistency of income. He was struggling to pay the bills. He came and invested in our program and came to one of our power days here at our office in Miami. And he put it on his credit card to make the trip. And he was there the night prior. The group was going out to dinner. And they said, hey, come on, Alan, why don't you come with us? And he literally clenched up because he was like, oh, man, I don't have the money right now to do that. I don't have the financial resources to make that happen. Fast forward 3 years down the road, chose a niche, positioned himself as the expert, put systems in place to get clients coming to him. Right now, I was just chatting with Alan on Facebook Messenger. He's at $87,000 per month in recurring revenue. A 7-figure digital marketing agency serving the funeral marketing space. And so that's just a living example of the fact that this can and does work. If you follow the rule of ones and you get your business model right, you can go out and make things happen. You can see accelerated growth within your digital marketing agency, and you can have a lot more freedom and flexibility within your life. So I'd love to hear from you guys as you look at your current business model right now. And I've got a page in the worksheet. I'm not sure whether you guys can see it. If you have the PDF open, what will you commit to in your business model? What will you change as a function of what we've just covered to help you accelerate the growth of your agency to 7 figures and beyond? So I'm going to pause here. I want to hear from you guys in comments, like what will you commit to in your model? And in the worksheet, things you might want to change. Choose one particular niche. Choose one particular program. Commit to a higher dollar monthly fee. Commit to monthly recurring versus project work. I just want to hear from a couple of you guys in the comments. Paul says I need to choose a niche. I need to focus on my service offering, get my service offering dialed in. I can do all of that stuff. I just need to make sure I get my niche. Tracy says I need to focus on a niche, concentrate on one niche, selling one program, monthly recurring. Fantastic. Pricing, getting that pricing up. Brent says I'm serving the veterinary industry as my niche. Just need to concentrate on building an inbound system. Okay, fantastic. Brandon says upping my price. Okay. Awesome. So we kind of talked about this. We talked about what you guys are going to commit to. Hopefully you're like internalizing this. Really what I want to make sure is you commit to it and you do it and you get the result, which is why you're on this call. Like information flows into your head and you have to take action on it. So, all right, so we talked about choosing our model. I think we got pretty clear on what the right business model is that can really accelerate the growth of your digital marketing agency. The next thing we want to talk about is landing clients, because that sounds like it's the biggest thing for a lot of us, is how do we get clients? How do we get them on a consistent basis? How do we streamline this entire process? And so when it comes to landing clients, there's only a finite number of ways to get clients. And so I'm just going to kind of unpack them for you with the thought process of let's find one that we can really get good at. We can dial it in and get great results with. So the first is cold outreach. And this is what a lot of us have learned about. Most of the time it's cold calling, right? When I worked at Reach Local, that was our only play. You got a list of people in Salesforce.com and you dial for dollars. Hey, just call and see if we can schedule a quick time to chat. Also within cold outreach, though, is cold email, scraping emails, sending introductory emails, trying to get people to raise their hands, and doing things like that. And there's a way to do cold outreach that is leveraged. So it's not you doing everything, but it's very systematized, and you can get clients raising their hand on a pretty consistent basis. It's probably the lowest cost, highest leverage way to land clients. Now, there's resistance associated with it. It can be tough, but I'm going to talk about it because we found it to be effective for a lot of our members. The second is marketed lead generation. So that's where you've got financial resources invested in getting clients to raise their hand and sign up with you. So that's Facebook ads, pay-per-click advertising, things like that, right? So there's marketed lead generation. There's inbound marketing, which I'm a huge fan of. That's putting out great content, in webinars, in videos, on social media, in blog format, putting out great content to your ideal prospect base, getting them to see it, getting them to be exposed and influenced by you. You're like, wow, this guy or gal really knows what they're doing. They've added some value to my life. So they raise their hand and they hire you. Inbound marketing, I love it. It's a little bit slower, right? It takes a little bit of time to get it off the ground, but your cost per lead via inbound marketing is very low, and the quality of leads you get from that type of marketing is phenomenal. There's associations and speaking, and this in the internet marketing space is often overlooked, but this is one of the most powerful things we do. In our niche, we join the association. We go to their events. We find opportunities to get our book in their hands and to speak at their events. And this positions us in front of our ideal prospects. So it's an extremely powerful play to get involved in the associations. And then there's JVs, joint ventures. Finding people that already sell to your ideal client and putting a strategic alliance in place with them where they refer business to you. And either they get a percentage of the revenue or just they refer to you, you refer to them. We have members that make their living in any of these buckets. Some do great with cold, some do great with JVs, some do great with the associations. When you can get one or two of them working well, even things snowball quicker. But this is the mix that works really well for generating new agency clients in your chosen niche to really grow and scale your digital marketing agency. So I'd love to hear what does your mix look like right now? How are you marketing your digital marketing agency today to get leads? I'll give you a minute to think about this because awareness precedes change. You might realize, oh, I'm not doing anything, or I'm just waiting for referrals to come into my business. And that's a problem, right? So awareness precedes change. So Paul says he does some email marketing. Brandon says he's doing some JVs, podcast, webinars, very good. Paul does some cold email. Tyler says basically nothing. Okay, good. So again, I just wanted you to think about that for a minute and get clear on what your current mix looks like. So now that we're clear on all the different methods, right? There's lots of methods to use. All of them basically require a funnel, right? Eventually, somebody's going to raise their hand from a cold email, see you at an event, see something you put out content-wise, and enter the top of your funnel, assuming you have a funnel. And what you want to be able to do is have a very basic funnel that can move them from interested to scheduled to sold, right? And so high level, you need a clear target market. All right, this is who I'm going to sell to. Plumbing companies, roofing companies, veterinary practices, right? Clear target market. a lead magnet, something that they can opt in for. Could be an ebook, could be a checklist, could be a video series, right? An opt-in, and then an appointment funnel. Those are the three key things that you need, right? An opt-in, an appointment funnel, and then what I found is a great sales process where once they raise their hand, they're going to sit down with you, you're going to take them through a consultative sales process. Hey, here's where you're at today, here's where there's problems with your current strategy, here's what I think could be better, and here's how we can help, and ask for the business, right? And have some type of hot lead follow-up. When you've got a funnel like this, it will drive new sales on a consistent basis, assuming you've got a good strategy for putting people into the top of the funnel. So opt-in process-wise, basically what we use a cheat sheet. It's worked really well for us. Just a basic visual checklist that they can choose. Hey, download our cheat sheet, download our guide. Our prospects see it when they get to our website, when they find us on Facebook, and they're like, wait, I want that, right? So an opt-in of some sort, cheat sheet works well. There's the plumbing one. This is a pest control one. One of the members, Dean Mignola, works in pest control and gets great results with it. The next is an appointment funnel, and this is really just a landing page that says, hey, you ready to take your plumbing or HVAC business to the next level? Schedule a time to chat, which takes them to a calendar, right? Carlos is asking what we use for this. We use Calendly and Appointment Core in our two businesses. So, but there's lots of tools. The point is just to make an easy way. They download your thing, and then they can get to it at everything you do should lead them to an appointment where they can choose a time on your schedule. And then you want a hot lead follow-up of some sort. So once you talk to that prospect and say, hey, I'm interested in what you can do. They're like, wow, okay, I'm interested too. Let's do business. Oftentimes that call ends and they haven't given you money. So you need to have an engineered process to email them, to put things in their hands, to mail them so that when they are ready, they buy, right? So you want to have an engineered process. I call it a hot lead follow-up that follows up on every single one of the people that you have sales presentations with. And what happens is at the other side of this, you wind up with closed deals. You get clients coming in on a consistent basis. So that's the funnel. A great example of somebody doing this is Brian Stearman. Brian Stearman runs a digital marketing agency called Lawn Care Mechanic. Serves the lawn care industry, like companies that cut lawns and do landscaping and things like that. He was a police officer, and then he was a lawn care business owner. Like he ran a little business cutting lawns. And if somewhere along the way he decided he wanted to run an internet marketing agency serving lawn care, right? He signed up for our program, came down to one of our intensives here in South Florida, spent the day, got really clear on the business model, got really clear on the funnel that he needed to build, got clear on how he was going to kind of position himself in the space. He has since, over the last 12 months, grown, actually now I guess it's more like 16 months, grown from start to about $74,000 per month in recurring revenue. He will be a seven-figure digital marketing agency sometime by the end of the year. He's adding, I think he added 9 new clients last month. He's adding 7 to 8 new clients every single month in lawn care at the $1,000+ per month range. And so, this stuff really works, right? Choose a niche, position yourself as the expert, put systems in place with your business model to get clients coming to you, and you can see accelerated growth within your agency. So the first step to this, now we know, okay, yeah, we got some idea, we need to have a funnel, but now we need prospects. We need to build, we need to put people into the top of the funnel. And so here's what we got to do is the first thing we have to build a list, right? There is no sales process, there is no opportunity, there is no lead generation without a list. So how do you get the names, contact emails, contact details of the people you want to do business with? There's a couple ways. You can buy or scrape, right? That means you go Info USA, I want to buy a list of all of the roofing companies in Florida or in the United States. You can run scraping tools like Lead Kahuna and other scraping tools where you can just say, scraper, go run all of the plumbers in Miami. And it scours the internet and finds phone numbers, contact details, right? That's a great way to get a fundamental initial list. You can borrow the list, and so that's where you go out and JV with somebody that already sells to those people, and you say, hey, I want to sell to them too. Let's put together a joint venture. I'll pay you on a percentage basis. Give me access to your list. That's a great play. Or you can build your list. So the build list piece is you set up your funnel, you put out lots of great content, you run Facebook ads, you run podcasts, you do webinars, and over time, the list starts to build. I'm a fan of all three of these. I do a lot of list building, I do some borrowing, but a lot of that takes time. And what I want to do is shortcut. We're talking about acceleration. The fastest way to build your list is to buy it and or scrape it, right? So that's what we're going to focus on a little bit because this is the fundamental piece. Jeannie asked in the comments here, what kind of margin is there in the business? Depends upon your size, depends upon your scale. Probably somewhere in the 30 to 60% range. So buying your list. My favorite play to get the list really is to join the association. I'm a big fan of this. So you decide you're going to sell to fence contractors. You join the National Fence Association. When you do that, you get access to their list. Oftentimes it's a mailing list, a phone number list. Sometimes it's got emails attached to it. And now you can contact them and say, hey, I'm a new member of this XYZ association. And now we can market to that list. We can start to send cold emails. We can start to invite them to webinars. You can scrape the list through a tool like Lead Kahuna. Great tool that basically you set a type of company, you set an area, it runs a scraper in the background and creates an Excel file for you. You can search list of fence contractors, right? And there's companies that will sell you the list. You can go on Fiverr and say, hey, I want someone to develop a list for me. You can run a project on Upwork, and this is actually probably one of the cleaner ways to do it. Hire a data scraping expert. Tell them, hey, I want a list of all of the $1 million plus fence contract companies in the United States, and pay them to go figure out how to make it work. So there's lots of ways to get your initial list, right? So you need that baseline list. And to me, the foundational one is a list of association members. And then you want to do some cold outreach. To me, like cold outreach, if you've got an easy way to get a list and you've got some smart email templates that you run, you can get attention. So in order to do cold outreach, really what you need is a clear target, right? So that's your niche that you're going to sell to. You need a list, either buy it or scrape it. And then you need a mechanism to get their attention. And the mechanisms I like are email, web forms via their website, phone, and phone calling kind of sucks, but voice drops, like literally where you record it once and 75 or 100 of your people get a call right then and there. And then social messenger, and this one gets missed. It gets missed a lot, and that's friending them on Facebook, connecting them with them on LinkedIn, and sending them a message. We all have so many emails coming into our inbox. We're overrun with email. It's hard to keep up with the email, but our text message and our Facebook Messenger, there's not that many people on there. And so I really like the idea of connecting with people on social messenger. Send them a quick social message. You'll know that they'll see that, right? So some interesting ways to get in contact with your prospect, and then you want a strategy to move them into a sale, which is a strategic strategy session. So what do you say in your emails, in your social messages? For us, there's been 3 cold outreach mechanisms that have worked really well. The first is one company in your area. The basic gist of it is your message is, hey, just wanted to reach out. I'm looking to work with one roofing contractor in the Dallas area and noticed that you look like a quality provider. Wanted to see if you'd be interested in jumping on a quick call, right? Or more importantly, having a sequence of emails, 5 or 6 emails, that are along that messaging with different subject lines and different messages to go after all of the people in that city and say, hey, look, I'm looking to work with just one right now. It's worked really well for us. Our first 13 or so clients in plumbing came from that exact approach, right? The one company in your area approach. The next is can you handle an additional X this month? So that's message. Let's say you're dealing with dentists. You want to try and find the high ticket thing that they do. So could you handle an additional 5 to 7 orthodontic cases this month, right? They get the message, subject line, orthodontics or braces or Invisalign, and the message, could you handle an additional 5 to 7 braces appointments this month? you get a response, you get a raised hand, you talk with them on the phone. Hey, we actually specialize in helping companies just like you generate more orthodontic cases. Here's how we do it, right? So you do these kinds of things to get their attention. The other play that works well is a content offer. And so that's a, hey, I wrote this report. Hey, I've got this guide. Hey, I've got this checklist, and you're emailing them to let them know so that they can raise their hand and say, yeah, I want that. And now you've added value to them. So you want to kind of figure out what are the 3 campaigns you can run on a very consistent basis to get your list's attention and get prospects to raise their hand so that you can get them on the phone and you can take them through a consultative sales process. So some people tell me cold email doesn't work. It's a waste of time. I can tell you that it does. Just recently here, a couple emails we got from our cold emails, people that did not know us. They got an email to the effect of, hey, looking to work with one plumber in your area. There's a response from Bob Brini. Sure. Let's chat. Can you send me an invite? Steve forwarded me your email. I'm very interested in speaking with you. Thad Hendricks, I'm interested. Keith Lawson, I'm interested. Send me some additional information. And Kia, one of our members, wrote, I really think this lead kahuna is actually going to work. I got 2 interested responses for my blast. Mike, I just landed a new client from our emails that wants to do a good budget out of Aurora, Colorado. This stuff works. How many of you guys would like to have the email templates, like the Britain email templates, and the process for scraping the email and getting it done? Do you think that would make your life easier if you had access to these proven templates that you could just copy, paste, and deploy? Everyone's saying yes. Absolutely, right? I mean, that's it can really make your life a lot easier. So in our members area, for people that decide they want to be part of the 7-figure agency, we give you those 3 campaigns. And they're multiple touch. They're like, here's what you send, email 1, email 2, email 3, email 4. Here's how you send via email. This is what you send on social messenger. This is the script that you record on your voice recorder. That way you can voice blast, and we show you the exact tools, like how to scrape it with Lead Kahuna, how to email it out with Mailshake, how to send the email, the voice blast and the SMS blast. So that's, that's all within our 7-figure agency membership. And one of our, sorry, I accidentally opened this. This is by accident. This is actually one of the templates. So I was telling you, it kind of walks you through the exact messages. I didn't mean to open that. So one of our members is Danny Barrera. He runs a company called Concrete Marketing Crew. I recently interviewed him for the podcast. If you happen to have seen one of our podcast episodes, Danny just posted in the members only Facebook group. He posted an invoice, his bank statement from a year ago, and it was overdrawn. Literally, he had an overdrawn statement, negative $372. So this is where Danny was about like a little over a year ago. He had been trying to run a digital marketing agency for going on 5 years, doing probably what I was doing for a long time, selling website, selling like mobile apps where he could, trying to get whatever client he could get his hands on it, and just kind of struggling with life. He joined our program, like dove in head first. He's one of these guys that is on our weekly coaching calls, went through every single section in the members area, followed the instructions, actually did what we suggested to do. Decided instead of being a general agency, his company was called Lion's Den Digital, changed it to Concrete Marketing Crew. He deals with the companies that put decorative concrete out across the country. As of right now, he's doing $38,000 per month in his digital marketing agency. From a zero start, like actually a negative balance start, he's doing $38,000 per month in his business. Most of it, and he's done 2 things really well. He does a lot of things well. He's great on sales, but he's been really aggressive with his cold outreach. Like he's really owned this cold outreach process. He's made it his own, scraping emails and how to send the emails and connecting with people on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. And he's gotten involved in the Decorative Concrete Association, like being at their events, exhibiting. He's looking to plant seeds and put opportunities in place to speak. And so it's just a great example of that you can build a business from negative to 30,000 plus and adding like 5 or 6 clients every single month at this point going to be seven figures. I have no question in my mind over the next 2 to 3 years. Amazing. And when Danny has been nice enough to take his updated version of our templates, all of our cold outreach templates, including like the call script, what he says on the phone, what he says based on different scenarios, objection handling, all in the seven-figure agency members area. So just another great example that this stuff works. So on the cold email front, right, I think this is, for most of us, this is where we need to start. Even those of us, and I know it's a couple of us doing high six figures on today's session, even me, I was at like over $1 million per year in revenue in my business, and I wasn't doing much cold email. I kind of let it go. And I realized, you know what, I'm not adding to my list very consistently. I'm not planting seeds with new people. And so that's when I developed this cold outreach process. And it really started to accelerate our growth to the next level. So, I mean, you want to be doing cold email at some level. You need to have a process, and it can be systematized where you're pulling new lists on a consistent basis of prospects. You're adding them to a cold outreach campaign, and then over time flipping them into a long-term nurture where you start inviting them to webinars and you start dripping value-added content on that. And so on this front, what you need to do is determine how you're going to pull the list, right? Think for a minute, where are you going to get the list of companies in your space? Map out your cold outreach campaign. Like, are you going to do the one company in your area? Are you going to do the high ticket service? Are you going to offer value add? Put together like 5 or 6 emails that you can send to make an introduction. And then commit to get 500 emails out, cold emails, every single week. So you're going to have to do relatively high volume on this because a lot of cold emails go to the spam. They don't get responded to. So you got to do enough to get people to raise their hand. So in your workbook, what I want you to do here is kind of map out a couple things. Map out what CRM you're going to use to hold your prospect data, how you're going to pull your list, and then which mechanism are you going to use? Which campaign are you going to use to get your prospect's attention? So as it really relates to this whole issue of cold email, really what you want is to get the big picture here, because it's more than just sending cold email. If that's all you did, you'd kind of struggle. You can't rely on cold email alone. The idea is you send cold email and you do your direct outreach. You send your emails, you do your voice drops, you send your social interactions, your social introductions, but then you move them to nurture, right? After they've been touched 4 or 5 times, then you move them to a long-term nurture sequence, which is more value added. It's more, hey, I got a webinar coming up on this topic I'd like to invite you to. Hey, I wrote this report. I think you're going to find it. Hey, I just did this case study of how another plumbing company was able to get 300 calls in the last 30 days, and I want you to check it out, right? That's where the money is. So the money is not in the cold piece, it's in the long-term nurture piece. So you should just be aware of that. Long-term, you can get leads and sales from cold outreach, enough to pay some bills and to kind of get the momentum going. But the true business momentum is going to come from your long-term nurture stuff. So I want to pause. I talked for a long time here on the topic of cold outreach for landing clients. I want to hear from you guys. Like, what were some of the takeaways? What did you notice? What are you going to do with what you've learned on the cold outreach side of the equation? Now, I'll just pause for a minute. Still got a lot of stuff I want to cover on today's session. So just kind of chime in with me. Jeannie says, what tool do you use to send the cold emails? So my preference is a great tool called Mailshake, and basically it's built to send cold email. So you scrape the list, and then you put it into Mailshake, and you can set up multiple touches and not have to worry so much about spam complaints. Like if you were to do those cold emails out of Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign, you'd probably get some issues. Mailshake, like shake the bushes, Mailshake. Taylor says, getting the list, building the list. Perfect. All right, so we've covered our model, right? We know we got to be niche focused. We know that we want to be charging monthly recurring fees. We know, we want to package and systematize our products. We covered that. We talked about how to fill the funnel a little bit by doing cold email and starting to get new prospects in a database. Now I want to talk about building authority, and I think there's a lot of money in the whole concept of building authority and getting clients to come to us pre-positioned to buy. The challenge in your agency is going to happen is if all you do is cold outreach in order to land and get clients, you're going to have to chase, right? You're going to have to chase everybody down. You're going to cold call chase them. You're going to cold email chase them. When they raise their hand and they say, okay, yeah, I'll hear what you have to say, there's going to be a hard sell, right? Because of the way that you arrived in their world, there's a hard sell. Like they're going to say, hey, I'll give you 5 minutes, but you tell me why I should hire you, right? And you've got to really, really convince them, right? And when you have hard sell like that, you wind up with a low close ratio, right? A low close ratio meaning for every 10 that you meet with, if you get 1, you're doing pretty good, right? Which is okay. If you get enough volume, you can make it work, but it is a little bit demoralizing, right? If you're doing all this work to get to one person to say yes, they'll meet with you, and then out of all of those, you're only getting a handful of them to say yes, it can be demoralizing, which means you don't generate enough sales, which means you don't have enough revenue, which means you don't make enough money to pay the bills and to live your desired lifestyle, right? We talked about to grow, you need to be adding like 3 to 5 new clients every single month. And so if we don't solve this whole problem, having to chase prospects down, we're still not going to be able to get our agency, to where we want it to be. And the biggest thing for us that really moved us to the next level quick was the shift from chasing everybody down, cold calling, cold email, cold drop-ins, to inbound, to really getting clients coming to you pre-positioned to buy. Because when they come to you pre-positioned to buy, because they were influenced by you, because you added value to their world, because they saw you in their inbox enough that they were like, hey, I'm going to give this person a shot. When they come to you pre-positioned to buy, the sales resistance is a lot less. Kind of posting comments if it makes sense that because they came to you, you don't have to force them quite as much. You can say, hey, I did an evaluation of your website. Here was where there were some issues. Here's where I think we can help. And here's how much we charge. Like, do we want to do business or not? Can you guys see, just put a yes for me so I can know that you're still awake and you're still here with me. Can you put yes in comments if it makes sense that there's a lot less sales resistance when they come to you? Jeannie says yes. So, when you get this going, that's when you get plenty of appointments. You get a full calendar and you get consistent growth and momentum within your digital marketing agency. And that's really where the success comes from. Again, our objective with all of our marketing initiatives and everything that we do is to generate 4 to 5 new clients per month, which means you need about 15 to 20 strategy sessions on a monthly basis, which will get you to $83,000 plus per month if you're charging a monthly recurring fee, if you're charging in the $1,500 per month range, which gives you 7-figure agency status in the course of about a year to 9 years. So rapid fire, I'm going to talk about some things you can do to build your positioning, to build your authority so that these customers can come to you. You need a keynote presentation, which is just a presentation for your niche. Like the 10 things every fence company should do to maximize their exposure online and generate more leads and more sales. You need a keynote type presentation like that. A marketing guide, like a PDF that they can read through. A niche website, so not a general website, but fencemarketingpro.com. Something like that is a full website that says you specialize in helping fence contractors generate more leads, generate more sales online. Case studies and testimonials of people within your niche that will say, yep, they're great, or that you can point to, look, this is where they were, this is what we did, this is where they are now, this is how many calls they're getting, this is how much revenue they got. That gives you undeniable expert status. Video-based training where you just recorded yourself explaining, hey, Mr. Fence Contractor Owners, this is how you generate more sales online. This is how you get ranked. This is how you leverage social media for fence contractors. You can publish a book. I highly recommend it. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. This is our book called How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right for Plumbing and HVAC Contractors. Got it published, put it up on Amazon, send it out to prospects. We have a free plus shipping funnel. We use it to get speaking appointments and engagements. One of the most powerful positioning assets, and it doesn't have to be that hard. It could be as simple as taking your keynote presentation, that's an hour, having it transcribed, loading it up into CreateSpace, designing a nice cover, and you've got a book that positions you as the expert. Email sequences, a podcast, I think somebody mentioned they do this, we do a podcast called the Plumbing and HVAC, the Plumbing Marketing Success Podcast, and it's just interviews with successful plumbing and HVAC contractors. I get on a Zoom meeting like this. I ask them a couple questions. Great content, great fodder. Printed newsletter. You do these things and you start to position yourself as the expert in your space, and that's how you get clients coming to you pre-positioned to buy. Really, what inbound marketing is great content that positions you as the expert, right? That can be discovered online. So that's content that a person in your space, I think somebody mentioned they're in veterinarian, that a veterinarian would find on YouTube, on iTunes, in Google search. Hey, how do I get my veterinary practice ranked on page 1? How do I get more veterinary, cases? How do I build my prospect database of veterinary, customers, right? Putting out content that can be discovered is really where it's at. And so you need to have content that's out there. You need a database. We talked about building the database through cold outreach that know, like, and trust you. And so then you have to be putting out new, fresh, relevant content on a consistent basis. And so really what I find in most cases is we wind up with a database of some sort because we did cold email, because we joined the association, and because we've got some marketed leads that we've done, like Facebook advertising, Google Ads. And we've got this database of people sitting there, but going nowhere, right? We're not touching them, we're not nurturing them, and that's why we're not getting really the 3 to 5 new clients every single month. What we need to do is to nurture that database. We've got to email that database 2 to 3 times per week. We've got to add value to them. We've got to pour relevant information to them so that they're like, okay, yes, this person gets my industry. They're valuable. We've got to nurture that database. We've got to offer help. If you can do that, like you cut the top level stuff and then start to touch them on a consistent basis and add value to them, we'll get new clients on a very, very consistent basis. And what I found, and I'm not going to go too deep on this, but what I found is that monthly topical webinars, 1 webinar per month on a topic, can be the ultimate content lever for agency growth. And so I'll kind of explain that a little bit in that webinars give you the ability to grow your database and to nurture your database, right? They grow your database because when you create new content, like basically you do a webinar about SEO for veterinarians, and then about website optimization for veterinarians, and then one about how to use social media in your veterinary practice. Every webinar is really just video content, right? It's a recorded video that you can put up on YouTube and then that you can syndicate in a lot of different ways. You can put it on iTunes because you've got the audio. You can create a blog post because you've got the text and the video file. And that, in and of itself, is discoverable content that now you're putting out on a consistent basis that can pull people into your funnel. And it also gives you the ability to nurture your database because now you can, the people that are sitting in the database that you haven't touched, that you haven't talked to, you're going to be touching them on a consistent basis because you're inviting them to the webinar, you're sending them the replay of the webinar, you're posting in your social groups and pages, hey, I've got this webinar coming up. And doing that on a consistent basis really is what's going to nurture your database and get people raising their hand and get people coming to you pre-positioned to buy. And so really, I believe it gives you a systematic process for creating new content to nurture your database and to really fill the internet with the best content about your marketing services for that particular niche. And so again, it gives you a reason to email the database a number of times, invite them to the webinar, remind them that the webinar is about to start, send them the replay after the fact. It drives multiple streams of new content. So you get the live webinar when you show up and conduct it. You've got the YouTube video that you upload after. You've got ideally sliced up elements of it. Basically, you take all of the little components, like I talked about, this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece. You slice it up in post-production and you add an end cap. Hey, if you liked this and you like more ideas on how to grow your veterinary practice, go to veterinarymarketing.com/guide. There I've got a free report that walks you through how to really maximize your lead flow via the internet. Is this making sense, guys? I know I'm putting a lot. Somebody give me like a thumbs up or yes or I'm with you just to make sure this is making sense. Okay, I got a couple yeses coming in. Good. So, I mean, these are the reasons I love webinars. I found it to be really, really effective. Ultimately, one live webinar can drive 3 touches to your database, right? Reasons to email them, and then 6 pieces of content. One webinar can result in 6+ pieces of content that we can syndicate across the web. Really, what I've found is that one new webinar per month can drive your entire lead generation machine. And a great example of this is Jeff Fisher and Michael Tassner. So Jeff Fisher is at the time when I met him about 3 years ago, was the owner of MarqueUBiz, an internet marketing agency in Reno, Nevada, kind of serving the local marketing space, trying to grow, trying to expand, but kind of stuck as well, like no consistency and growth. Kind of latched on to what I'm teaching here, latched on the concept, joined the 7-figure agency, coaching and mentorship program, came down for a couple of the power days, and he latched on this concept of doing webinars. Started doing webinars once per month, and he would land like 1 to 2 clients every single month from his webinars. So he's emailing his database, he's putting out fresh content, and he started to get some consistent momentum in his agency. Fast forward, in about less than 2 years, he grew just shy of 7 figures, was able to sell his digital marketing agency to Michael Tassner from No Joke Marketing, who also is a member of the program. And now Jeff Fisher is our agency success coach here at 7-Figure Agency, helping like guys like you, gals like you, on what his process was and how you can grow and how you can scale your digital marketing agency. So, I mean, on this front, I want to know, like, can you commit to do monthly webinars that will position yourself as the expert and get clients coming to you pre-positioned to buy? I just want to hear from you in the comments, if you can, if you will, because what I'm really going to suggest is a monthly webinar, right? And in order to get it done, what you need to do is pick your topic and then block it out on your schedule. Like literally block this out in advance. That way you know, okay, boom, I'm going to do, in this month I'm going to do this webinar, and this month I'm going to do that webinar, and this month I'm going to do this webinar. Now, as members of the 7-Figure Agency, what we give you is our swipe and deploy webinars. So I do webinars every single month for our agency on topics like how to maximize your lead flow with pay-per-click, how to optimize your website for maximum conversion. I give you the webinar presentation format. I give you the slide deck. I give you the emails that I use to promote it. I give you the social posts that I use to promote it. That way, this is very swipe and deploy, right? You get the idea, and then you can just roll it out. Tyler's asking if it should be done live. I think so. Yeah, it's not about doing one webinar and recording it. The point is to have new content coming out on a consistent basis, which helps to nurture the database and helps to fill your funnel of new content that positions you as the go-to expert. So in your notebook, what I want to ask you to do is just write down for the next couple months, what webinars can you run and will you run? So Cole's asking, I can do it, but do you put up the webinars talking about the technology to help them for plumbing and HVAC or lawn care? What do you teach them on the webinar? Tips and tricks? Yeah, I mean, we literally just unpack it. So we say, for instance, my last webinar was the new SEO formula for plumbing and HVAC. We say, look, in order to get ranked on page 1, here's what you got to do, right? You have to have your page set up like this. You need to have these pages for each of your services. You need to have title tag here, keywords here. You need to claim your directories. And we just unpack like what the actual process is on a webinar. We invite them to come join us, and they see it, and they're like, wow, nobody's really showed me it like that. I guess I should hire these guys to do it for me, right? And that's what your webinar should be, right? Just very specific, very informational, and it'll kind of position you as the unquestioned expert in your space. Does that make sense? Can you post in comments if this is making sense to everybody? If you're with me. Got a couple yeses coming in. Awesome. Okay, so we talked about choosing our model. We talked about filling our funnel, like do cold email, scraping, touching people, moving them to a long-term nurture. We talked about building authority, really shortcutting that whole process to put out content by doing one webinar per month that positions us as the go-to expert. So high level, when it comes to landing clients, we have to have a database, with where we house our prospects, both cold and nurtured. We've got to have a cold outreach on-ramp. It's where we're touching them 3 or 4 times with a very simple ask just to see if they're interested. We have to build an opt-in funnel with a lead magnet of some sort, an appointment funnel where they can get onto our schedule. And we've got to commit to doing ongoing content development that will get clients to raise their hand and come to us pre-positioned to buy. And so we talked about those 3 core elements, right? Choosing the model, filling the funnel, and building authority. That's what we have time for today. Obviously, there's other pieces, right? We need to know how to sell these services effectively. We need to know how to systematize and package and develop our team. We need to know how to retain long term. But at least I think I gave you the nuts and bolts to really get some momentum off the ground. So let me ask you, have you guys gotten value from this session so far? Like, do you feel like you've gotten some really good information that, if followed, would help you take your digital marketing agency to the next level? Okay, big value, absolutely, yes, definitely, absolutely. Okay, great. So you guys are getting value. Again, what we covered, we decided on our business model, right? A business model that's actually going to work to help you scale. We set some strategies in place on how to get clients to come to us pre-positioned to buy, cold email, and doing authority positioning. And we talked a lot about a lot of different case studies. We talked about Alan, we talked about Brian, we talked about Jeff, we talked about Danny Barrera and kind of him going from broke to 30,000 plus per month in recurring. Now I want to talk about your case study. I'd love you to be the next person here in the 7-figure agency that I'm able to help go from where you're at today to the next level and really help you accomplish your goals. What I find is, as it relates to running digital marketing agencies and trying to build a successful agency, is there's just too much information. Like, there's so much information about SEO and pay-per-click and social media and how to land clients and how to do Facebook ads that oftentimes people get overwhelmed. Like, I'm sure you're just overwhelmed. And so when you're overwhelmed, you can't take action. Like, there's no clarity in the plan. And there's very little accountability with most of these programs, where it's just kind of like, okay, buy the course, go do it. And so that's why I developed the 7-figure agency coaching and mentorship program. Really, it's intended to help you grow a highly successful, scalable, and profitable business. That isn't just, here's the information, but it's really about giving you the accountability and the support mechanisms to say, okay, here's the model, here's what's worked for me, here's what's working for others, and let me help guide you along the way. Let me help you make this happen and kind of bridge that gap from where you're at right now to where you're trying to go and where you want to be. And it's really unpacking all of these core elements: landing clients, delivering results, retaining long term, so that you can scale a business of your dreams, so that you can go all the way up the growth ladder from startup or struggle or scale to significance, where you can really start to live your desired lifestyle. And so, if I were in your position, I would really want 3 things. I would want a plan, I would want tools, and I would want help. Right? I'd want a plan that's built for me, like based on my current situation, where I'm at in life. I'd want a plan that was like, okay, here's what I've got, here are my raw materials. How do I go to the next level? Not something canned, but something that's built for me. And so part of what I do with the 7-figure agency is I do 90-day game plan sessions where it's me and you talking about where you're at right now, what you're trying to accomplish, and figuring out over the next 90 days, what are the specific things you should get done, setting goals, setting targets in terms of how many clients, how much recurring revenue, what projects have to get done, and having like an accountability mechanism where somebody's like, okay, yes, not only do I have a plan that's made by someone that's accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish, but I've got some accountability, somebody that's going to be looking over that with me and helping to kind of guide me to the next level. So I'd want a plan. I'd want the tools, right? I want to know, like, so you say to do cold email, what tools do I use? What email templates should I use? How should I send those emails? So I should be doing webinars. What webinar platform do I use? What are the templates, right? And so I give you my entire business model, literally everything that we use in our business, from cold email to webinars, association involvement, and everything in between, the proposals, our sales process, our sales training, handed on a silver platter. And I'd want help. I'd want to know if I get stuck, if I'm in a place where I don't know what to do next, if I just need some guidance, that I know I got somebody on speed dial that I can get quick answers and get quick solutions to. So that's what the seven-figure agency, membership, coaching, mentorship is. Basically, there's an online portal where we've put all of our content available for you to access, right? From choosing the model to positioning yourself to landing clients to serving clients to how to retain. We do weekly coaching calls every Wednesday at 2 p.m. where you can come on, get your most important questions answered, get your issues resolved. We've got a great Facebook group that's for members only. It's called the Seven Figure Agency Membership Facebook group. At this point, there's over 200 members in there, all running niche-focused digital marketing agencies, growing on a consistent basis. Just a great place to get questions answered, get support, and know that you've always got a community of people going through the similar thing as you to help move you forward. We do 3 live workshops per year as part of the Seven Figure Agency coaching and membership program. That's where you're invited to come down to Miami. We do a 2-day intensive. It's a different intensive every time where we're going deep on specific topics. And we rotate from landing clients, serving clients, to retaining long-term. We touch on all of those a little bit. And the way those workshops are built is they're really, the idea is 30% learn, 70% do. So you've got 2 days carved out to really roll up your sleeves and get stuff done. So I'd love to hear in comments, who's in? Like, who sounds like, man, I'm ready to go to the next level. I need this help. I want this support. Just post in the comments, I'm in, if you're in, right? You're like, okay, I want to do this. I need the help. I can see how this will help me take my agency to the next level. Okay, I've got a couple I'm ins. I'm in. Okay, good. So, this is a application process. It is a coaching program. There's lots of one-on-one hands-on support. So what I want to do is, if this sounds good to you and you'd like some help and you just want to jump on a call to talk through the logistics, right? How much does it cost? What's included? How do I get started? What I want you to do is go to sevenfigureagency.com/schedule. Tracy did a call with John. Perfect. How did that go? If you go there, you can schedule your call. You'll likely get me, John, or Jeff, and we'll talk about your goals. We'll get clear on where you're at, and we'll kind of show you how much it costs and how to get started. And so what I want you to do is, if in the heart of hearts you feel like this is for you, we can help you. Schedule a time by going to sevenfigureagency.com/schedule, and we'll take it from there. Right? We'll get you started. We'll get you access to the entire training. I will personally help to serve and support and help you take your digital marketing agency to the next level. And again, I'd love to have you be one of our next case studies. I'll have you be our next Danny Barrera or Alan Hillsberg or Jeff Fisher or Jimmy Nicholas and Jamie Randall and the others that are just crushing it in their digital marketing agencies. So excellent, Tracy. If you talk to John, I'd love to have you in. So just go schedule the call, and we look forward to getting you started. So here's what you get with it. Again, it's an 8-module training program. You get our full client acquisition funnel, landing clients, copy and paste email sequences. You get our hot lead follow-up campaign to convert customers after the initial call. Our new onboarding documents. Once a client signs up, what do you gather? How should that launch call go? Our client retention maximizer, like the things we send to the client in order to keep them on board as long as possible. We get 3 2-day intensives. Those are the full 2-day intensives here in Miami. Our actual proposal templates and our contract. I was talking with one of our members, Nicholas Chavez, the other day, and he was like, "Man, just the fact that you give the proposals and the templates pays for the program practically. If you pay an attorney and you bought that stuff, you'd wind up spending that much." Our best 3 converting outreach campaigns, which we add to on a consistent basis, like as we're testing what's working, what's not, we add to that. I actually give you our book template. So we wrote this book, How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right. We wrote another one, The Complete Guide to Internet Marketing for Contractors. It's a 275-page book. I actually give you that swipe and deploy. So all you have to do is get a cover design. I point you in the direction of where to get the cover, kind of format the text so it matches your niche, and you've got a book to position yourself as the expert. Weekly coaching calls, monthly trainings where I come in with new information on what's going on, and a one-on-one game plan session with me and or my team to sit down and get clear. Here's where you're at. Here's what you need to do over the next 90 days and help to hold you accountable. So in order to get started, just go sevenfigureagency.com/schedule. We'll get a meeting together and we'll get you started right away. And again, I'm excited about helping you take your digital marketing agency to the next level. So Carlos is asking, do I have to invest in ClickFunnels lead programs as well? There's going to be certain tools that you need. We've got good, better, best options. So in the first module of the training, it's like business model tools and things like that. And I kind of map out, these are the tools that we use. These are the cheaper versions of those same tools. So you can try and find the right mix of services that will work best for you. Teresa says, as a small guy, do you handle fulfillment? So at Plumbing and HVAC SEO, we're very focused on our client base. We do our work. In the group, we've got a number of great white label providers. So guys that specialize in websites, guys that specialize in SEO, guys that specialize in pay-per-click, guys that specialize, and gals that specialize in content development. So if you need to either have it all outsourced, or if you want to have some like quality providers that are vetted or used by other members, part of the programs we plug you into those quality providers so that you can focus on, if you're really good at business development, you can focus on selling and have other people fulfill the program for you. So that's the scoop. I would like to close here with just some feedback. What's been most valuable today? Like I literally unpacked our 7-figure agency roadmap. I unpacked, how to land clients, how to serve your clients, how to scale your business model. I shared with you how to kind of get involved and get some additional help if that's something you're interested in. Would love to hear from you. What were some of the key insights from today's session to wrap us up today? So Jeannie says roadmap, success stories, tools. Fantastic. Good. What else? I'd like to get at least one more before we wrap. Just some of the key insights and learnings from today's session. Sure. So Tony says tremendous value, kind of unpack the entire business model. Thank you so much. Your personal story, fantastic. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I truly hope this was of value to you. My goal was to serve you and support you and kind of give you some inspiration, give you some tools. If you'd like to get additional help, you'd like to become a member of the 7-Figure Agency coaching and membership program, if you'd like to have me personally help take your agency to the next level, go to sevenfigureagency.com/schedule. Let's get on the calendar and talk about how we can help serve you better.